Next, we'll be iterating on this Twitter dupe. So this one is interesting because it kind of looks similar to a lot of the designs you've explored when you say design this in the style of. And so I'll kind of show you how I might iterate on this project. For this one, I'm going to start with a different type of prompt. So remember that when you're working on a new prototype, you have to say, I want to iterate on the hummingbird prototype. Also make sure to start a new chat because if you start talking in the previous financial dashboard one, it'll likely start editing that one instead. So I'm going to go ahead and say I want the design to be more minimal and visually consistent. Something interesting actually just happened to me where it actually decided to delete the original CSS file so that I could start from scratch. And so let's see how that goes. So you notice how now it's basically stripped all the styling that I had before. And a lot of this kind of looks like the design system for ShadCN, a really popular design library that has a very minimal style. I kind of want to bring back some of these vintage elements though, and so I'm going to try to prompt it to add a little bit of that flavor back in, but maybe in a more subtle way. So I said, can you add back some of the vintage OS style, but in a more subtle way? I want it to look like something the Apple design team would have shipped in the early 90s. Not sure if this is going to work, but let's see what happens. Okay, so it's brought some of that back, but notice how this time it feels a little bit more consistent than it did before. So before there was a lot of stuff that's like randomly a little bit more transparent. There's this random like dark outline here. And so now it feels a little bit more consistent, which is good. And so let's iterate from here. So right now it looks like the spacing is a little bit wonky. There's like more spacing here. This is even, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to see if using a spacing system from ShadCN, the design system, will make this feel a little bit more consistent. So I'm gonna go ahead and say use ShadCN spacing for the entire page. I promise you it looks different, but basically it took ShadCN's spacing values and used it on the page to make it more consistent. Anytime you use a reference point that agent understands, it's pretty good at picking it up and following those principles within whatever it's making. And so if you're not sure where to start, referencing popular design libraries is a great way to encourage agent to do something a certain way. Next, I'm going to try asking agent if it has other ideas. So I'm saying, what ideas do you have for making this design better from a visual design standpoint? This is what I have now, but what if you really don't want to have this many visual styles going on? I'm going to go ahead and try a new prompt, make everything 10 times more subtle, but keep the vintage OS inspiration. Let's see what happens. Notice how now I have a much more subtle version of the very strong vintage OS aesthetic. So here's the before and after. I'm interested to see how you iterate on the design on the right.